Have no fear, the government is here to solve all of our housing problems and issues. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Today is July the 27th, the month is almost over. Randy Patrick here. What am I doing? I'm putting the realism back into real estate, debunking all the housing myths and urban legends out there to get us through another day in this crazy housing market. So what's so unique about what's coming up? Well, guess what? I say, and so it begins. July 31st, which will be the bulk of our discussion today, the official ending of the Foreclosure and Eviction Moratorium. Will there be some curveballs and things thrown our way? Of course there will be. We'll discuss that and debunk that in a second here. But first of all, if you're looking to find out what's going on in your neck of the woods, your own backyard with respect to distressed properties, this video is brought to you by GetHousingData.com, which basically is my partnership with Foreclosure.com. So you want to see what's going on in your area, go to GetHousingData.com. You can check out the distressed properties. They are the #1 list provider of distressed properties across the nation. So check that out and see what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to talk about this for a few seconds because is it even worth going into? Okay, last week what happened? Well, NAR, National Association of Realtors, released their existing home sales report. What did we see? Okay, another record for housing value. So the median house price is up to $363,300. Is this interesting? Not really anymore. All right. The past few months, all we've seen is a great ramp up and a great price increase with respect to existing homes, and we're seeing more inventory hitting the market now, so slowly increasing in various locations. But we're also seeing, I think, what's driving up some of the price points is a lot more sales in the higher price points, the greater than 500K mark. So that's why we're looking at a much higher price point, a higher median price going forward. So again, if you want to check it out, you can. Nothing that exciting. Also, what was also released was the the new home sales report, which basically we're seeing some not good, I guess you could say, information with respect to that. New home sales crash in June to lowest level since April 2020. So I guess the interest crashed, and the revised number from the previous month crashes as well too. So we can see basically they went down here. The seasonally adjusted annual rate is the lowest since April 2020. So not good for the home building people. Interesting to know that median home price dipped with respect to new home sales. So that's interesting. So I guess people are getting kind of, we'll say tired of what's going on. And supply of new homes actually picked up 7% month over month. So it's highest since March 2020. So, all this stuff that was going on, it's having an effect now in the marketplace. But ultimately, in the end, we go back to this graph, which shows that home builder confidence has sort of waned a little bit, and home buyer confidence has tanked. So that's a big thing right now. So people do not want to spend exorbitant amount of money for various reasons. Personal economy, clearly, lumber prices being high, and maybe that'll change as prices are dropping with lumber. But the whole point is that now, majority of people believe now is not the time to buy. Simple as that. And that will affect the market as time goes on. All right, so let's get into the real meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about today, which really is the end of the foreclosure moratorium. So as I mentioned before, it's not like it's just going to stop and things are going to go chaos and it's going to be a free-for-all out there. So clearly, they've done, the moratorium was extended until June 30th, and then they had one more month till the end of July 31st of this moratorium. And the whole idea was they said that this will be the very last time that we extend this so they can put other things in place. So they were obviously thinking of what they're going to do. So basically, the Biden administration announces more help to stem foreclosure. So you're going to see a lot of this you probably have over the past couple of days and going forward about how this is going to save and solve the housing industry that we're in right now. As a side note, my next video will be about Case-Shiller because Case-Shiller was released today, but I already had this planned because I do think this is a more outstanding news, going forward here. So ultimately, the White House actually has a fact sheet. So if you go to whitehouse.gov, they basically have a whole thing out there about how the administration announced additional actions to prevent foreclosure. So the first little bit I'm not going to get into because really it's just a synopsis of what they've done, patting themselves on the back, blah, blah, blah. All right. So ultimately what we're going to see here, and this is, I guess, what I could say would be like their new angle on how they're going to help homeowners is what they're going to do. So any government-backed mortgage, okay, so the new steps by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is called HUD, the Department of Agriculture, which is USDA, Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, will be announcing, will aim to provide homeowners with roughly a 25% reduction in borrowers' monthly principal and interest, so P&I, principal and interest, payments to ensure they can afford to remain in their homes and build equity long term. This brings options for homeowners with mortgages backed by HUD, USDA, and VA closer in alignment with options for homeowners with mortgages backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So what they're doing is basically saying it's almost like a principal reduction scenario here, which this did, something like this did happen back in the day. There was some principal reductions that were being offered back in the last housing crisis. But with everything, there are caveats. So what I don't want you guys to do is think, oh my goodness, look at this, everything's going to be great, because there's steps to go through this, and who knows how it's all going to play out. But again, government basically saying they've got solutions for all the people who are experiencing issues. So HUD basically is saying here, for all borrowers that can't resume their monthly mortgage, HUD will enhance servicers' ability, and servicers being those who service the mortgage, okay, ability to provide all eligible borrowers with a 25% P&I, principal and interest reduction. Based on recent analysis, the administration believes that the additional payment reduction offered to struggling borrowers will result in fewer foreclosures. To achieve these goals, HUD will implement the following options over the next few months. So I guess someone has basically done some calculations and felt that if we can reduce your principal and interest, so that part of your payment, by 25%, that just may give you enough buffer to keep your home so you're not going to fall into foreclosure and things like that. Now, first of all, I'm a proponent of people staying in their homes, all right? So I'm a proponent that if you can save your home and you can use the tools that are given to you by government or your lender, you go ahead and do so. That's the number one game, all right? However, I'm also a realist because I've experienced a lot of this back in the last housing crisis and up until now with homeowners and the situations they're in. I can tell you that a lot of these programs just don't work, or they won't get implemented correctly, or the borrower just can't fit in there, right? So they're making some, I guess you could say, some adjustments here, which is great, but it's how it all plays out. That's what will be, how it plays out will be the big question here. So what they're doing here is they're doing what's called a COVID-19 recovery standalone partial claim. So for homeowners who can resume their current mortgage payments, so you can get back on track, HUD will provide borrowers with an option to continue these payments by offering a zero interest subordinate lien, known as a partial claim, that is repaid when the mortgage insurance program or mortgage insurance or mortgage terminates, such upon sale or refinance. So this is the thing. They're talking about this partial claim, which will become a subordinate lien. They're not forgiving any dollar values here. So when we talk about reductions, please don't think that it's like, hey, the government's wiping out 25% of my debt here. They're not. They're just removing it from the payments and doing something different with it. So you're still on the hook for that. So you're not walking away from this. They're just trying to make your monthly payments more effective for you, which essentially is what a loan modification is. COVID-19 recovery modification. So for homeowners who cannot resume making their current monthly mortgage payments, the COVID-19 recovery modification extends the term of the mortgage to 360 months at market rate and targets reducing the borrower's monthly P&I of their monthly mortgage payment by 25%. This will achieve significant payment reduction for many struggling homeowners by extending the term of the mortgage at a low interest rate combined with a partial claim if partial claims are available. So what they're really doing is essentially doing a modification refi. So you now have a new 360, or like 30-year mortgage plan with a reduction of 25% with whatever low interest rate they can give you. So essentially what you've done is you've almost taken I don't know how I would phrase it, but it's like a special loan modification / refi that's removing some of your principal to make the numbers work for you, for your income. All right. Realize though, you still got to qualify for this, and that's what people don't really get into right now. The USDA, they're going to have a little different here, a 20% reduction in P&I. New options include interest rate reduction, term extension, mortgage recovery advance, which can help cover past due mortgage payments and related costs. Borrowers will first be assessed for an interest rate reduction, and if additional relief is still needed, the borrower will be considered for a combination of rate reduction and term extension. And in cases where a combination of rate reduction and term extension is not enough to achieve the 20% payment reduction, a third option, combine the rate reduction and term extension with the mortgage recovery advance, will be used to reach target payment. Okay, that's a mouthful and that's confusing. And I've got my thoughts on that, but realize that, okay, so the USDA is a little different, only 20%, and there's different ways they're going to approach this. The VA, same thing. So the VA is going to offer, they're looking for a 20% reduction in the dollar amount for monthly principal and interest, P&I. In some cases, is larger reductions available, potentially. One such tool is a new COVID-19 refund option where the VA can purchase from the servicer a borrower's COVID-19 arrearages, and if needed, additional amounts of loan principal, subject to an overall cap corresponding to 30% of the borrower's unpaid principal balance on the first day the borrower entered the COVID-19 forbearance. Similar to VA's COVID-19 partial claim option, the COVID-19 refund will be established as a junior lien payable by the VA at 0% interest. In addition, the servicers can now achieve significant reductions in the dollar amount for monthly payments by modifying the loan, adding up to an additional 120 months, so 10 years to the original maturity. The total repayment term can be up to 480 months. So again, a lot of stuff here, a lot of moving parts. So the VA is going to basically buy out. So for example, if we'll say Caliber Home Loans is servicing this mortgage, okay, and it's a VA, I don't even know if they can or not, but just making an assumption here, right? And the VA, that part of the government's backing this. So the VA is going to essentially purchase from Caliber, whoever the servicer is, that difference, and they're going to take that and sort of park it over here, all right? And it's going to become a junior lien that's not going to accrue any interest, but it's going to sit there as a lien. So when you eventually sell your home or refi, now you're going to have to pay that amount. So really, as I always say before, it's not like the situations we're in now, it's not an equity issue, it's a cash flow issue. So what they're doing is they're using the equity shell game to go, we can take 25% or 20% away of your payments because we know you have equity right now, and we're going to park it over here for the future. The future, it's not a balloon, but it's there when it, not a short-term balloon payment, but still almost like a balloon payment when it comes to the end. You got a lien, you got to deal with that. And guess what? If we can reduce your monthly to make it work for you income-wise, we're going to do that. So, is this helpful? I'm sure it's helpful for some people. Could this have problems down the road? Certainly can. What is the susceptible thing here? Well, if there's price point reductions and value reductions in the future, which there should be, and guess what? If you got to sell, now you've got this, your monthly works for you, but you got all this stuff at the back end of your loan. How are you going to deal with that? So we will see how that plays out here. FHFA, so HUD, USDA, and VA steps to bring federal agency options closer to alignment with payment reduction and loan modifications for all borrowers with Fannie and Freddie. Again, the whole deal here is that tools include for FHFA include a payment deferral option, allows borrowers to resume their pre-COVID monthly payment after deferring up to 18 months of missed mortgage payments and non-interest-bearing balloon, which really is forbearance. The missed payments do not have to be repaid until the homeowner sells or refinances the property. Borrowers requiring more significant help may receive a loan modification that targets up to a 20% reduction in their monthly mortgage payments. The flex modification capitalizes all past due amounts, extends the mortgage up to 40 years, and in some cases lowers the interest rate and provides for principal forbearance. So again, there's a lot of moving parts here, and to me that's a concern. It doesn't seem to be clean. It just seems that there's going to be some calculations and doing a lot of math in public, which I'm not really a fan of that, but we'll see how that plays out. So I guess you could say that the government's trying to do something, so you have to give them kudos, but I don't know how it's going to play out. And again, if you guys like the video, like the information provided you, please like the video. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. So summary here, borrowers should contact their servicer or housing counselor as soon as possible to learn more about the options available. So this is the thing. So realize that, in how this actually works, it doesn't happen automatically. So when mainstream media and the housing narrative talks about all these type of things, the way they phrase it and the way they kind of, we'll say, implement it or roll it out, to me, it always seems that this is just going to happen. And you as the homeowner or the borrower, it's just going to automatically happen and life is going to be good and you'll be taken care of. Well, that's not the case here, all right? You're going to have to do things to get that, all right? Basically, and one last thing here, forbearance. There's still an opportunity to access relief here. So basically, HUD, VA, USDA announced they will continue to allow homeowners who have not taken advantage of forbearance today to enter into COVID-related forbearance through September 30th, 2021. So that's kind of the last day you can jump into a forbearance program. Okay, homeowners with Fannie and Freddie back mortgages who have COVID-related hardships will also continue to be eligible for COVID-related forbearance. So basically, up until September 30th, you can opt into the forbearance program if you actually need that. All right. So how will this all be implemented? So part of the things with respect to delinquent mortgages is homeowner outreach, and this was a byproduct of what happened in the last previous housing crash and crisis. All right, is that homeowners couldn't get through to the lender, didn't know the options available to them, didn't know about government programs. It was a big mess. All right. So out of that, when the CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, came into play, they made some mandates. So basically, when you're 30 days delinquent in your mortgage, you're going to get a package in the mail. All right. You're going to get a package in the mail that basically says, from your lender or servicing company, that says, we have options for you. You can deed in lieu the property back to us, which of course they want. So you walk away and give it back. That's beneficial to them, not to you as a homeowner. That's actually foreclosure, believe it or not, on your credit. But they offer that. They talk about loan modifications. Sometimes they'll talk about other programs like a principal reduction that's being offered now, or a short sale, etc. So they want the homeowner to know that there are options out there. That's the outreach. But however, the homeowner must contact the lender to really opt in. They got to go, okay, the lender's going to outreach to them. It's up to the homeowner to go, I need help and I want to engage. Homeowner must contact to opt in. And then, as you see here, the homeowner must qualify. So they didn't really say it out loud or in the text here, but in the end, this is a loan modification. To me, it's a principal reduction loan modification that has some caveats to it, but you got to qualify. So it's got to work. And I can tell you that a lot of people out there may not have the income to qualify that. So what are they banking on? They're banking on continued appreciation, so that 25% will work for people. That's number one. Two, they're counting on the fact that people will gain jobs and they will increase their income over time, so they can actually qualify and get over that 75% P&I type level. But realize that that's just principal and interest. So many times, or oftentimes, with your mortgage is it's called PITI, right? Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. PITI, right? So you pity people with that hold property, etc. So all this government stuff is dealing with this principal and interest. Taxes and insurance are not part of the principal reduction. So you may look at your overall monthly payment that actually has escrowed and includes taxes and insurance plus the principal and interest. And you think, okay, I'll take 25% of that off, and that's my number. Well, it's not going to be that way, because taxes and insurance are not part of that discount. Taxes have to be paid annually. And the government's not going to discount that and fund that for people. And insurance has to be paid on an annual basis as well, too, minimally. And they're not going to fund that. So really, you have to separate taxes and insurance from principal and interest, and you just look at the principal and interest component. What I'm thinking, too, is that we're most likely going to see property taxes increases across the board. So I would expect that. That's number one. So that's going to go up for homeowners. And two, insurance. In various locations across the country, insurance is rising just because it is what it is. We're having more natural disasters, more fires, more issues, this and that. And it's costing insurance companies more. So in the end, the homeowner pays for that. So you're going to have those. And again, how much they rise or increase, it won't be like it's 50% in a year, but it still will add up over time. So that's always going to increase on an annual basis. And the PI will hopefully remain the same. But again, the homeowner must qualify. So you're going to have to go through what really is a loan modification process, which is proving your income, and they will analyze your income and expenses. So, how much do you make per month? What's your expenses per month? Can you fit into their box? All right. My point here is that it all sounds very confusing. All right. I mean, very confusing. The fact that I'm just reading this stuff off going, oh my goodness, it's confusing, and I sort of know what's going on. All right. So when I look at how this will be implemented, is that if I'm a homeowner and I just go, well, I'm told I can call in because the government has some plans for me. So I call into the lender's office and go through the voicemail tree and go and talk to a customer service rep. Will the lender staff be able to convey these programs effectively to the homeowner? Will the homeowner be able to understand it? Will the homeowner go through the hoops to jump through to fill out forms and do things to get it into the system, to get it approved, or to find out whether they actually are a candidate to have this help and support? Will the lenders be able to handle the volume? You see, that's the one thing. So if you go back a few months ago, the CFPB Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, was big time talking to all the lenders and servicers saying, be prepared for what's going to happen and staff this stuff up. So like the last housing crisis, the main issue was couldn't get through the lender, lenders lost all my information, couldn't process it, dropped through the cracks, blah, blah, blah. People lost their homes who probably could have had their homes saved had the lenders been on top of their game. So the lenders be able to handle the volume, I just don't know. And that's what past history tells us, is the fact that a lot of these programs sound so good up front, and I do believe it's what I call it ear candy or eye candy. It's telling us that, oh, there's solutions here, so don't worry about it. It's back to the common, theme here, the common derivative of what's the housing market narrative saying? It's saying that prices are increasing, interest rates are good, go buy your house. Don't worry about these people over here in this box, in this segment. Obviously, they underreport the numbers, etc. We don't talk about the true, potential issues that are going to happen down the road. And all these great programs are going to solve this problem. So if you can't sell and cash out your equity, have no fear. The government's going to come here and essentially buy out your equity or park your equity in ways that maybe you can, have reduction in payments, which all sounds great to me. I'm just a skeptic with respect to how it can effectively be rolled out. Number one, can you understand it? Can it be rolled out? Can it be conveyed? Can you qualify? Like, there's a lot of ifs here. So, but for the purposes of what we're talking about today, will this help people? I'm sure it will. Just how many people of this, under 2 million forbearance number we talk about, this potential 2 million people, I hope I didn't say billion, 2 million forbearance people, this 2 million people that aren't covered, delinquent, aren't covered by any forbearance program. What about the people that are going to, mom and pa landlords, small landlords who can't make their payments now because of the rent issues and stuff like that? I mean, they're not covered by stuff like this. So you can just see that it's a bit of a conundrum, and it's going to sort of roll out somehow, some way, and that's what's going to happen. So great that we can talk about this from a very altruistic perspective, and it's wonderful that there's help here. But again, my experience dealing with hundreds of homeowners, and in this situation, lenders, lawyers, the whole bit, is that majority of people don't actually end up taking these programs. They fall through the cracks, or they don't qualify, and they eventually will jump into other buckets, which is distressed property, eventually foreclosure buckets. Okay, so that's just my take on things. If it's different this time around, that'd be great, but I'm not very bullish on that. All right, so that's why I say again, the same slide, and so it begins. July 31st, this all starts to start, and we'll see things happening. So what's going on right now? Well, I can tell you on a personal note, inquiries are going up. I'm talking to a heck of a lot more people about what's going to happen, working with more groups who want to buy the distressed property, things like that, engaging more people. So I'm just going to say it out front here. I've talked to a ton of people over the past year or so about what's going to happen in the marketplace, and it's actually going to start to happen now. All right, we're not going to see suddenly, a bunch of properties hit the market. They have to go through their processes and sort of work their way through the system to become available and things like that. But the point I'm trying to make is get prepared now and figure this stuff out, because what's just, there's not like 100,000 properties just pop up in your marketplace. You can just go pick and choose and buy at your reduction in price and at your whim. It's not going to happen that way. But the people who want properties need to get involved. If you've engaged me before and dusted me off, I'm okay with that. Re-engage, and we can go from this, because it's a timing thing. And I'm the most, I guess you could say, concerned about. I'm spewing off all the stuff in the housing bubble, and people are going, well, it's not happening, it's not happening. Well, you know what? The housing bubble's here. It's not a bubble issue. It's how the market's going to go the other way. That's the issue, and that's the question. So now we're going to start to see this. So it's actually starting to happen now. So that's the whole point. I can tell you that as I said, inquiries are going up. I got more speaking engagements going on. Was talking at an event last night here in my local area, and I was speaking with a person that I know pretty well from the last housing crisis. We were sort of doing a back and forth interview, and we had to laugh going, it's just like what happened back in the day. And how this is going to play out interests a lot of people. So what does happen is that when everything's going up, when the property is going up, people don't care about the distressed property market. They don't care about it. They don't want to understand it. It's nebulous to them, and they don't care about it, as I said, because I'll buy it today for this, I'll sell it in 2 weeks for this, or a year from now higher, and I'll just be making money and everything's great. Well, it's going to change. All right, it's going to start to go the other way now. We're seeing more inventory coming on. We're seeing the home buyer sentiment making some changes with respect to the marketplace. We're seeing sellers maybe aren't getting the numbers they want. And then when you start having some of these other properties become available and come in the marketplace, creates a, from what was a seller's market, shifts more to a buyer's market, which is competition and prices reduce. That's what's going to happen. Then the distress comes. So you see, it's all part of the chess game here. And as I said, there'll be various curveballs via the government or lenders or whoever, Wall Street, to sort of keep us at bay from this. And really, it boils down to, let's talk about the good things going on in the housing market: price points, low interest rates, and don't worry about this. And as I said, the harder people try to convince you to look one way, stuff's happening back the other way that they don't want you to see. And there's reasons for that. So I like to look behind me, look the other way, and know what's coming and how we can take advantage of it and work through it. Help homeowners, help ourselves, buy cheaper properties, make money through investing, do what we got to do. That's the thing. So reach out to me. Now is the time. All right. This is not, okay, was maybe 6 months ago because all these moratorium extensions, but now is the time it's going to start. So this is the time to engage, guys. All right. So why would you want to do this? Well, guess what? This is my MSA, the Tampa area MSA, and this is June's numbers that just came out for the MSA, which is 4 counties in the greater Tampa Bay area here. We can see that the median price of a single-family home was $332,500. The median price for a short sale was $257,750. That's $75K difference in equity, a 20% discount over the median price point. So when you talk about distressed properties and why we want to do short sales and things like that, that's the reason why. Okay, that's just basic discounting without even trying hard, and we know that we can do better than that on our discounts when we work the deal. So this is the reason why the opportunity is there, and you need to jump on it right now. That's all I can say. Going to the next slide here, which I always put up, and this is comes from the most recent NAR existing home sales report. Look at the distressed sales column. All right, look at the distressed sales. 1% of all the home sales across the country are distressed sales, which are made up of what? Foreclosed REO bank-owned properties put back on the market and short sales. All right, so we can say that half and half, 0.5%, 0.5%, for each of them of the market segments there. So what this means is no one's doing the business or engaging the properties, thus the opportunity. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but again, thus the opportunity. That's why I'm doing more speaking, more webinars, more interviews, more people are calling me, we're doing more implementation, our marketing's picked up. So people want to be in this business. People want to get involved because they know this is where you're going to find cheaper properties. So that's all I can say at this point in time. I can't convince you to jump on board if it doesn't make sense to you. But realize that how this plays out is a little different. It's not going to be like the last housing crisis when all these properties will become available. You see, more people want them now, so it's going to be different techniques to get a hold of them, and that's the key. All right, guys. So anyway, want more information, reach out to me. We'll talk. Those of you, I've sent a lot of emails back saying, hey, I'm here to talk, and you haven't responded. So get back with me, guys. That's what you got to do. All right. So once again, thank you for the views, likes, comments. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Share the video with your family and friends. Reach out to me for more information. As I said, it's starting. The time is now. So we've been waiting for since COVID started, and we'll see how this plays out. It'll be interesting, but now the fun begins, guys. All right. Take care. We'll talk to you before weeks, and I said next video will be case chiller stuff. All right. Take care. See ya.